Beyond the Waves is a Hail Hail Media production. It's rated R, and may not be appropriate for underage Tims. There's going to be sweary words, and there's going to be adult situations being discussed. If you're in the company of underage Tims, turn off the show now and listen back later. If you're in the company of Huns, point at them, laugh, and turn it up. Hail hail and keep the faith.
Cheers. Cheers.
Captain! Land ahoy!
Listen, do you want to chat about Celtic after the game and avoid the usual Scottish hacks? Then tune in to the Beyond the Waves Celtic show on the Hail Hail Media channel. I'm telling you, Graham, the Rev, the coach, they're there after every game to take your calls and talk you down from the ledge if need be. The guys are live after every single match, and you can catch them www.spreaker.com and then just search for Hail Hail Media. So if you'd like some Celtic discussion that'll make you feel a bit Yankee Doodle Dandy, tune into Beyond the Waves radio show. Yankee Doodle.
The others fear when they hear us cheer as we sing the Celtic song.
Welcome to the Beyond the Waves Celtic Football Show. My name is Graham Wilson. And today we're going to talk a lot about 1-0 victory at home against the Cousins of William, otherwise known as Hearts. Did they pay their players' wages this week? I don't know. You never can tell. You never can tell whether or not the players are getting paid their wages. I'm telling you, it's that mad Vlad. All sorts of just fantastic things going on with the club this week. What a week it has been. I mean, we've really turned this Champions League campaign on its head. Dermot Desmond even chimed in. Good to hear from Dermot. Getting some comments in chat right now, but I'm American. Yes, I'm American. We're going to talk a little bit about that as well. The fact that I'm American. Not as if you could tell, but I've been American my whole life. And I know a couple other guys who have been as well. First off, from Perth Amboy, New Jersey, it is the Rev. Hail, hail, Rev.
Hail, hail from the bastion of freedom, liberty, and revolution in central New Jersey.
Yeah. I like that. I like how you put that. Very well put. Also joining us, making another one of these triumphant returns, which has been the hallmark, really his calling card. He is the man that is full of triumphant returns, and he returns once again from Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. It's the coach. Hail, hail, coach.
Hail, hail from the town that saved the Union. That's
right. The scene of the bloodiest battle ever fought in the Western Hemisphere. Are there any bloody battles going on today in downtown Gettysburg or the surrounding area, if you will?
With the leaves turning colors, quite possibly.
Oh, very nice, very nice.
It's Turon season once again.
Now, tell us a little bit about your. You went for a drive last weekend through the Blue Ridge Mountains, just west of where I currently am. What was your experience like? Did you have a nice time? Did you see anything interesting? Did you drive the Dodge Challenger, the Duke Mobile?
Hell yes, I drove it.
Okay, fantastic.
That was the whole thing. We had about between 25 and 30 of them. We drove from one end of Skyline Drive to the other. It's like 105 miles. And let me tell you, at 35-mile speed limit, it's a long friggin' drive. Especially when we pulled off the one of the first little scenic overlooks they have. And the park ranger pulled right in behind us and kind of cruised through slow and quizzed us on what the speed limit was.
Yeah, it's 35, genius.
I said, I suffer from temporary dyslexia, so it looks like 53 to me.
I'm sure that went over well.
He was an okay guy.
Well, he is a ranger, after all. And
Yeah.
they are absolutely
They
devoid.
wear green though.
Green Rangers. Interesting. A bit confusing, nonetheless, but they're never devoid of humor. The Rangers, I'm
Right
speaking about.
tickets, too.
They write tickets. Well,
Oh, they were writing tickets.
so you managed to evade any sort of ticket giving, then I assume.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Fantastic. And not as if they could even catch you if they wanted to pull you over.
Yeah, they had some weak cars too.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the usual police cruiser with the what the hell did they call that engine?
The Crown Vic with the
Yeah,
Interceptor.
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 Right? That's
Yes, yes. That has struck fear in many speeding motorists' hearts in the past. But now that they have what are they, Dodge
Chargers.
Chargers? Yeah, which who knows what they have under the hood of them? Probably Hemis or whatever. But we're getting way off topic.
Oh, I like it.
Well, it suits. It suits you. It suits you. 3 points today, 1-0 versus Hearts, on the heels of a fantastic performance, a fantastic result away in Moscow. In the Champions League, really have just turned this entire group on its head. As I mentioned before, we were placed in pot 4 simply by being the lowest rated. Let's not kid ourselves. When we opened this group, no one was expecting Celtic to even get out, even in the Europa knockouts. I think it was ITV that said, ha ha, it was laughing at Celtic. Who's laughing now, ball bags? Thank you. So, coming into this game today, we've seen it before, albeit with a side that was dealing with some injuries, the European hangover. After the Helsingborgs game, came home to Hibs, just turned out a completely flat performance. I didn't think that's what we saw today. Lots of complaints and lots of comment after this game, but I don't think that it was necessarily horrible. We did create chances. We just couldn't take them. We just could not put the ball in the back of the net. We just didn't have that finishing, that sharpness within the box. So many chances, especially within the first 20 minutes. Saw a bit of a shift in the formation. Scott Brown obviously not going to be available. He's playing on one hip, and how he's doing it, I have absolutely no idea, but he was immense away against Spartak. I'm hoping he doesn't have to play for Scotland. I hope he doesn't play for Scotland, to be honest with you. I'd like to see him preserved for as many of these European ties as possible, and just playing in any sort of game whatsoever puts that in jeopardy. I'd love to see him maybe get a break, but that's not entirely likely. But with Scott Brown vacating the position in the midfield, we went from that Christmas tree 4-3-2-1 that's been very effective over the past several weeks back to a 4-2-3-1 with Charlie and Victor stopping things just in front of the back four. And, obviously the trident there. Now, we've had success with Gary Hooper playing the lone striker in the past several weeks, but that's been in a situation where he's had balls to run onto. Maybe the back three would sit a little bit deeper back, opening up space for Chris Commons and either James Forrest or Georgios Samaras to sort of infiltrate and facilitate that link up. Didn't have as much of that today. We fell back into our usual and former tendencies, which was having lots of the ball, going up against a side that's going to pack the box, that's going to sit much deeper, that's going to try and harry and break things up in the middle of the park, even if it means incessant and repetitive fouling. And they can do that. I mean, let's be honest, Craig Thompson puts in another shambolic performance as a referee in his refereeing. Somehow he feels as though he's going to give Celtic the disadvantage. He's inventing his own new rules. It's incompetence in its purest form. He's an absolute disgrace. And we saw exactly that. Persistent fouling throughout the middle of the park. That's always going to break up the rhythm of the game. But the fluidity, I think, was definitely there. We saw some lovely one-touch passing there in many circumstances. Georgios Samaras just running down that left-hand flank as he does, causing all sorts of problems, opening up opportunities. And, as I mentioned before, we just couldn't put them away until Sammy kept it himself, put it away, took his chance well. 1-0. Obviously, the hero of that Spartak game comes through again this weekend. Looked as though Sammy shifted more to a central position as the first half wandered on, and that was a bit confusing for me. I'd have to think perhaps that was in response to, it looked like Izzy just repetitively getting kicked and being fouled and being knocked down. And then Lustig, picked up the injury to himself. Charlie Mulgrew just had a collision. Seemed a bit horrific. The Hearts goalkeeper, thoughts go out to him. Hopefully he's going to make out okay. It seemed as though he got knocked out. Then they reported that he came to. So, obviously you hate to see that no matter who the opponent is, even if it is the cousins of William. But Charlie didn't seem the same. After that, we heard Neil Lennon comment after the game that he seemed a bit groggy and a bit woozy. My first question was, well, if that's how he was, you can imagine how he was after he made the collision. I kid, Charlie. But he wasn't quite the same, and I think that there were some adjustments made as a result of that. But Sammy is not the best in that central channel. No question about it. We've seen the best of Samaras just being pegged to the left touchline, facilitating the link up, facilitating transition, and increasing the tempo. If you give him a ball to run onto, good luck to the fullback. I mean, they're just going to get absolutely ran ragged. It was a completely different complexion in the side once Sammy shifted more centrally. We saw Ledley and Kyle being substituted on. I would have liked to have seen Ledley maybe start and maybe bring James Forrest in as a substitute. James Forrest had a pretty decent game, but I can't talk enough about Emilio Izaguirre and Michael Lustig once again. Michael Lustig, fantastic game against Spartak. I mean, you can really sing the praises of every one of the players that were on the pitch that night. We found ourselves 2-1 down, came back and got the result. Got the 3 points away in Europe. Rev?
Huzzah.
Huzzah indeed, my friend. It looked like he picked up a bit of an injury there, and hopefully it's not too serious. The only silver lining in that is that perhaps he's not going to be available for international duty, which is obviously a tough break for him personally. But in the context of Celtic, I prefer our players don't play for international ties. I mean, especially if they're going to be friendlies, meaningless, whatever. And with Craig Levein, at the helm of Scotland, pretty much every Scotland tie, no offense, I'm sorry, but every Scotland tie is meaningless. As long as he is in charge, he is absolutely clueless. But hopefully Lustig can get a bit of a rest, come back fully fit, and what a player he has developed into. Not to mention Kelvin Wilson. I mean, he's really bedded in, and he was a rock once again. F.A. Ambrose almost gifted Hearts a goal right there at the end with some sloppy clearance. Just put it right in the middle of the park. He put his hand up right away and knew exactly what he did. So other than that, I mean, he's just looked absolutely phenomenal. Some of the opportunities that he had to fill in, open space in the middle of the park, it was like, where did he come from? It's like he was shot out of a cannon. And I don't know what our scouts are doing to find players like this. I mean, he was playing, sort of a second-rate Israeli side. We've got a player here, no question about it. I think he's going to be even better than Wanyama. And Wanyama looked good at spurts. Once again, Wanyama does great. At the ball winning, at breaking things up in the middle of the park, at tracking back. He's just a stopper, but he needs to improve in how he waits a pass. His vision isn't the best at times. He can be a bit careless. I like it when he's just doing the simple things, taking care of the ball, not doing anything harried. Just making the simple, safe passes and allowing a player like Ledley or even Charlie Mulgrew or Chris Commons to allow the play to build up and to dictate the pace. But nonetheless, a fantastic performance. And Izzy. Rev, let me get your thoughts, because Izzy has taken a lot of stick towards the end of last season, as well as the beginning part of this season. Many folks were ready to chuck it. He's really stormed back to the Izzy that we've grown accustomed to. Certainly the Izzy of 2 years ago, the player that won the SPL Player of the Year. And if that wasn't the old Izzy today, it was pretty darn close. It was close enough for me. Seeing him beat opposing fullbacks, opposing midfielders, and his service today was top drawer, in my opinion, with both feet. Some of his service into the box with his right foot, even. Rev, what are your thoughts? I mean, Izzy, again, he's taken a lot of stick. Some folks in the past several weeks have called out for him maybe to have a seat and to take some time away, but he's really stormed back. Your thoughts?
No, I agree. Even going back to Tuesday, I liked what I saw, and I actually thought Tuesday would have been not really a fluke, but it might have been just a one-off where he was showing what we know and what we love of him, and to see him today continue that form.
Hello? Did we lose the Rev? We lost them. Buddy. Coach.
You just can't depend on him.
Well, listen, it's all or nothing. Rev is like the Sammy of Beyond the Waves. When he's on, he's on. And when he's off, well, pick it up from there, Coach. What did you see? And what are your thoughts? What are your feelings on Izzy at this point? Is it time that we gave up on this idea that he's never going to be the player that he once was? I think he's back. What do you think?
Are we talking overall or just the game against Spartak?
Well, no, just overall, just in the broader sense. Fantastic performance today.
Overall, my thing is you're not going to gain confidence on the practice pitch. So if you're not willing to let him play, you can't ever expect him to get back to what he was or even close to what he was.
Yeah, no question.
So it's a thing where, well, if you're going to give up on him, you might as well give up on him for good.
Yeah.
Because
exactly.
He's not going to turn into a wonder player on the practice pitch.
Well, and then if you sit him down, he's going to lose all confidence.
Right.
So he's just absolutely exactly, and that delays the return. And it's absolutely vital. We absolutely need his bombing runs up the left-hand side. I mean, that causes all sorts of problems. We've seen it time and again. Yes, it was only a 1-0 victory. Yes, it wasn't the most resounding scoreline, but there was some nice football being played in stretches. I think there was some confusion there, especially once Ledley came in and we switched, to a more a rigid 4-2-3-1. It seemed as though there was a bit of confusion between Wanyama and Ledley about where they were supposed to be, and you saw huge swaths of space opened up. Not really sure, when you have a midfield trio, I guess, in the trident, as it were, of Sammy, Commons, and Forrest, it may be a bit uncertain as to who's supposed to track back. They all should be tracking back, but it's not obviously, their strong suit. But they need to get the finger out in those situations. Before I forget, need to give a shout out to Kat. She's driving. Is it Darragh? Darren or Dara? It's D-A. Coach, help me out. You're good with the
Dara.
Yeah, Kat, you're driving Dara around. He's sitting in the back. He had, he wanted us to give you a shout out. So there you go, Kat. Shout out. Thanks for driving, and make sure Dara gets home safe. Even if he's pissed. Rev, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, go ahead. We lost you there, but you were in the middle of talking about Izagiri, in the broader context. Is he back? I mean, can we just put to rest this idea that Izagiri is may never become the Izagiri that we once knew? I mean, I think it's onward and upward, for him.
What was the last thing I said? Because I was still talking. I didn't even know I got dropped.
Start from the beginning, son.
Oh, all right. Going back to Tuesday, I thought, he had some flashes of what we know and love, and I thought that would have been more of just a Tuesday kind of thing, and he just kind of got hot at the right time at the right game, and maybe kind of like the European magic kind of inspired him a little bit, and to see him today, I think even better than Tuesday, and to continue that form, if it's if that stuck with him, or maybe he just needed that on Tuesday to kind of give him a little fire under his ass, so to speak, or just a little bit of an inspiration. But I mean, even if he drops off form, next game he plays, he's not as quick, or he's not doing the runs. But as long as maybe the week after that, and there's just a continual upward progression of his performance, then really what more can we want?
Yeah, very good point. Very good point. Just off track here a little bit, getting some activity in the chat room about the Canadian Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving to you all. Behave yourself, Coach. And I know you have the terms bandied about. Happy Thanksgiving, Deco, and the rest of the Canadian Celtic supporters, and if it's cold here, it's got to be absolutely Baltic up there. It is freezing here. It's about 8 degrees Celsius, and it's a light drizzle. I think it might be warmer in Glasgow, if you can believe that. Also, a shout out.
It's like 12.7 here.
12.7. What is that, like the Richter scale? Or
I thought we were the American show.
We are the American show.
Why the fuck are we doing metric temperatures?
It's 51 degrees, Coach. There you go.
Jesus
okay, that's
Christ.
for you. Okay.
55.
Good Lord. I absolutely can't wait. I'm trying to branch out and be more receptive to our overseas audience, okay? You can't please everybody, especially...
I'm scientific. That's the scientific.
You're very demanding.
We're supposed to be different, though.
I missed you, Coach. I really did. Shout out to Chris and Derry as well. He's First time, long time, I'm sure. But, we saw some substitutions in the second half, and that's really when we started to get into that rut. Like I mentioned, there was just loads of space opening up in the middle of the park. Craig Thompson is definitely going to facilitate. He's a massive Jambo. Make no mistake about that. He's going to facilitate, the repetitive fouling, the horrible calls going against Celtic. It's surprising that he didn't give them a penalty to even the score. And it seemed as though there was a bit of confusion. We were missing, I think, the only thing that we were missing was that finishing ability. We weren't as sharp with the final ball. Taking off Gary Hooper and replacing him with Miko was a strange one for me. Miko, to date, and this is antithetical to your point, Coach, where you need to play players. You can only do so much in the training ground, but Miko just doesn't strike me as a finisher. His credentials coming from La Liga were not overly. They weren't mind blowing. He had 12 goals in the league last season. Yes, it's a big league. It's a great league, but I don't class him as an out and out finisher. So taking Gary Hooper off, the best finisher we have, maybe the best finisher in Britain right now. Yes, I will say it. I don't know. I hope that Gary Hooper was fit. He wasn't, having an issue. But it just seemed as though that the side was a bit more listless from then on. Sammy playing sort of a partnership role or a lone striker in the right when the conditions are right. That's going to come off. But I like Sammy staying out on the left hand side. Full stop. But no. We got the 3 points back on the top of the SPL table. Let's review the Spartak game. We've referred to it in glimpses here. Coming into it, what were your expectations, Coach? First off, from you, you hear from a lot of the fellow Hell media outlets previewing it, talking about what our expectations are. Yes, it'd be great to get 3 points, but let's just hang in there, get the draw, and then move on from there. See what we can get out of Barcelona. What were your expectations going into that tie in Moscow?
I go into every game thinking we can win.
Look at you.
So
the outcome, was basically what you expected.
You could be happy with or not happy with the draw, but of the opinion that it's not the worst thing that could happen. But I didn't see anything that was that great from Spartak that said that we couldn't beat them. Same thing with Benfica. I thought we easily had the ability to beat them, but we just weren't on our game.
I would agree completely. Many folks had rated Benfica based on their form from last season, but you cannot forget they had the heart of their side ripped out. No question about it. They're in trouble even within their own league. And they're struggling a bit to find their own identity. The game was there. The 3 points were there for the taking. Keep in mind, when we went up against them, we were still dealing with a lot of injury woes. We were a bit on the skids. Remember, the St. Johnson game just before then. Really weren't brimming with confidence as we are now. That being said, they don't strike fear into me going forward. And in hindsight, the opportunity was definitely there. This Spartak side was a bit different, and they surprised me in a few ways. Unai Emery, their manager, who comes from a more Western continental style, if you will, a more football playing sort of style. At times it looked like they couldn't put two passes together, and it looked like they were sitting a bit further deep, which was surprising to me. I thought that they were really going to try and come at us, and when they did. Full credit to our defense. They were phenomenal. As we mentioned before, Isaac Gary, one of his finest performances since really that 2010-2011 season when he won the SPL Player of the Year. And I think that's really sprung him, with a lot of confidence, and certainly got the faith of his teammates and the support once again. And Michael Lustig was in the UEFA top 11 for the Champions League for this past week. What an about face that came with him. Just a month ago, even myself was saying this guy cannot play football. What is it about this guy that justifies his position in the side? Well, I think we found out. And credit. Harper and the guys from the Homeboys. They had his back throughout, and they were absolutely right. I didn't have much patience with him. Now, in my own defense, there wasn't much really to have patience about. Time and again, he had come out, and the best he had done is just not putting a foot, wrong. But, in these past several games, including today before he picked up the injury, he was phenomenal. Rev, who are some of your standout performers in that Moscow game?
I mean, Bruni, Sammy, Commons.
Why?
Why?
Why? What stood out to you? Well, I mean, Bruni. I agree completely. I mean, you could give you could give 7s and 8s to everybody on the park, pretty much. That played at Moscow. Not pretty much, definitely. I thought Bruni, was absolutely everywhere. Yes, we played in that Christmas tree formation, that 4-3-2-1, that facilitates his tendency to roam. You're always going to have cover there, but he was absolutely everywhere. He was in people's faces. He was breaking up play, exactly how Neil Lennon describes it. It must be an absolute nightmare to play against, and just caused bother for the Spartak players. I mean, who else? Who else, and why?
I mean, Sammy obviously, getting the header. Izzy giving the cross,
yes,
for that last goal. I mean, that was just, I wasn't expecting much with the game. Like I said last week, I was looking, of course, I go into it always thinking we can win, but realistically, I was thinking, away there, 1-1. We got the first goal in, and I was just ecstatic. Hooper just. I couldn't, I watched the replay and, in slow-mo and just over and over, and I didn't even see that touch his feet. That's how, sharp, for lack of a better word,
yeah.
that was. It didn't even seem like it even touched him. That was just brilliant. There's no one that really put a foot wrong. When it got down, when it was 2-1, then I'm starting to have second thoughts. I'm like, all right, this is gonna suck. And then we tied it up, and just seeing Izzy, that's the camera angle was perfect for that, and watching the ball right there, I'm just like, I just willed that. I'm like, oh, just please, just find somebody.
Get in there.
It goes to Sammy, and at first I just tense up. I'm like, no, out of everybody, why does it have to go to him? But I take it back. He put it in. That was, that had a nice little. I guess it was more like a backspin kind of, because it trailed away, and it was just. I take back, everything that I said about him in that game, really.
Yeah, there was some movement there. There really wasn't anything that the keeper could do. It was fantastic. Once again, Samra stepping up in a huge occasion, a huge opportunity, and he did it, and has repeatedly, in this last run, quieted numbskulls like myself, who have ever had the audacity to question his ability and his place. I will. That will be my mea culpa. That is my Stephen Fletcher moment, I guess. They will put it on my tombstone. He slagged Sammy.
It's just funny for me because I have, 3 of my friends. I have a friend from Moscow who's a Spartak supporter. I have a friend born in Lisbon who's Benfica, and a kid from Barcelona. So this, this whole group is interesting. We all know each other, and that whole game, the kid from Moscow was just texting me. The first goal goes in, we're up. I don't say anything, and I'm actually talking about why is Lenny wearing the purple penny. And that's all I said. And then they go up, they tie, then they go up, and he's just texting. I'm not saying a word. And then sure enough, that's why I don't really talk shit during games, because look what happened, and I had the last laugh. So.
Yes, exactly. We did have the last laugh. Lenny had the purple bib on. Interesting. There was comment about it after the game. I thought it was definitely eccentric. I think that UEFA forced him to put that on so that he didn't have any sort of clash with, or not clash, but it wouldn't blend in with our own all black kit. Lenny obviously is the man in black, and
the track suit.
Right,
that why?
right,
okay.
Yeah, the all black tracksuit. So I mean, with our players with the all black kit, you don't want people passing it to Lenny. So either way, it was eccentric, and it was a bit of a laugh. Speaking of a bit of a laugh and certainly eccentric, how about the press conference before the Spartak Moscow game? Just absolutely full of just pure comedy. One of the reporters asked Scott Brown whether or not the team watches Braveheart before each of their games.
Right.
And then Brown, Bruni, just deadpans, and just says,
Just
yeah,
rolled with it.
yeah. He says, yeah, we watch Braveheart and we wear kilts and then we dance around. I mean, just as serious as you like, and we were talking about that at the pub today, and one of my pals, Kenny, was talking about the game after Bruni did the Bruni, where he was just giving it to Diouf back and forth. Somebody interviewed him after the game, and they said, so it looked like you got yourself into a little bit of a tussle with Diouf out there, and he goes, ha ha, yep.
It's fucking insane.
You gotta love a bit of Bruni, absolutely. Coach, what are your thoughts going forward? You mentioned you expect Celtic to get the result and get the 3 points every time we go out, and no matter who the opponent is. We got two very tough games coming up in the Champions League: Barcelona away and then at home. I know what you said just now. In your heart of hearts,
we're taking points.
What would be an acceptable amount of points? Would a draw on each leg, would that suit you?
Probably more than suit me. I mean, with everything you hear, it's as if most Celtic supporters are already writing them off as losses. That's why we need to make the most out of our other 4 games. So, for me, anything we take off Barcelona is a bonus.
No question, and the opportunity is definitely there to really close this out. If you can dream of getting 3 points against Barcelona at any point, home or away, I'm telling you this right now, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling that we're gonna. You can laugh all you want. I'm actually laughing at it, but I think we will beat Barcelona. I don't think we're going to beat Barcelona both times, but I think that we're going to eke out a result. I feel it. I really, really feel it.
I don't see why we can't beat them at home.
There's absolutely no reason why we can't beat them at home, and I'm feeling we can even drag a result out of them in the away tie. I mean, for the specific reason that folks are taking us lightly. No question. I mean, we saw that with Spartak. Remember, back in August when the draw was made and each of the teams were put into the groups, and you had some of the Spartak players coming out and saying, "Well, we're going to show them what technical football is, and I don't know how they play up in Scotland." Well, you know what? This is how we play in Scotland, ball bag. We'll take your 3 points, you get none, and get back to the training ground. Rev, how are we going to beat Barcelona?
We're going to have to go for the short, simple passes. And by that, I mean not like pass the death out of them, but, we're going to have to be calm and collected on defense and just, make the short pass from, say, Ambrose tackles Messi. So Ambrose makes a short pass to Izzy or to Lustig. And then, he gives it right to Wanyama. And then Wanyama up to Bruni. And then Bruni, to Hooper. Just no long balls. Nothing that requires any acrobatic skills or anything like that.
Oof. You've been playing too much FIFA, son.
Just nice, short, simple passes. Boom, boom, boom. Not like we're gonna, because I don't think we'll be able to string 5, 6, 7 passes together in a row.
We're not gonna have the ball enough.
No, exactly. But just the quick outs. See the open man, give him the ball. We're not gonna.
Here's the dilemma. We are not gonna have the ball enough to be able to sort of play, keep it on the ground throughout. We're going to have to counterattack. No question about it. The book is out in terms of how to beat Barcelona, and it takes a huge amount of luck. We saw it with Chelsea last season's Champions League, as well as Mourinho's Inter from 2010. You're going to need to park the bus, hit them on the counter, and have plenty of luck. Now, with that being said, they're going to have the pairing of Mascherano and Alex Song back there, who are not bona fide natural center halves. But let's make no mistake, they are absolutely world class, in certain contexts, quality players, every day of the week. So, it doesn't matter whether or not they're playing out of position or whatever the case may be. They're going to have enough of the ball, but they're going to play such a high line that the opportunity is going to be there. We're going to need to keep it tight at the back. No question about it. Make no mistake. It's going to be a 4-5-1. But when we have the opportunities, when we get the ball, when we can make those when we can win the ball back in the middle of the park, Victor Wanyama is going to be absolutely essential, playing that Busquets role. When he gets it, he's going to need to be looking up the pitch, and then our striker or our attacking players are going to need to be focused, to have their heads up, to look to make that run, peeling off of their defenders, get in behind them, and then a through ball, and anything can happen, as we saw. I mean, Torres, obviously had some success against Barcelona last season, and he's an absolute donkey. Okay, so skipping right along. Now that we have the roadmap, I mean, we're gonna get at least 4 points out of them, right, Coach? At least 4 points. We get the 4 points. We're on 8. We have Spartak Moscow coming back to Celtic Park once again, a month after their season ends, no less. And we travel away to Benfica. That's going to be a tough tie, no question about it. But things are absolutely looking up. And all of a sudden, that 0-0 Benfica result, that we were talking about, maybe we left some points on the table there. That all of a sudden goes from it's okay, to a pretty fantastic result. That's put us in really in the driver's seat for that second position. And now we have the benefit, since we're playing Barcelona twice back-to-back, we have both of the two bottom teams. They're playing each other back-to-back. They're going to beat the heck out of each other. Maybe, the two of them get a point apiece out of these next two ties. Or if one of the sides is especially dominant throughout this, we can kiss, the fourth, the remaining team aside. And the worst-case scenario would be us getting into the Europa League knockout stages. Fantastic, fantastic place to be at this point. No question about it. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a lot of fun. We are not making up the numbers. No question about it. We are making up the cream of the crop. We are the second best team in this group stage. Make no mistake about it. We're getting some attention. Hopefully, teams like Barcelona are going to continue to underestimate us, and we can surprise people. As Neil Lennon mentioned, hopefully Scottish football can get the respect that it deserves. And with that being said, we're coming into an international break this week. And the teams were announced. Two of our premier players. I mean, we're a side that's awash of premier players, but Fraser Forster, Gary Hooper have been, just really featuring themselves for an England call-up. Fraser Forster, congratulations to him. Well-deserved. In spite of, a little bit of a shaky moment there in Moscow, maybe single-handedly gifting them one of the goals, but nonetheless, he's been absolutely solid throughout. He's going to get his opportunity, and hopefully he makes the most of it. Hopefully he really gets some attention and turns some heads during his England international campaign this upcoming week. One player that got another look over is Gary Hooper. Gary Hooper currently is the leading goal scorer of all British players. Not players that play in British leagues, but British players. He is the leading goal scorer in the Champions League. And yet he gets overlooked by Roy Hodgson, for whomever, also rants, just because they play in the EPL. Another example of why the EPL is the most overhyped, just overexposed, overrated league in the entire world. And you talk to the sycophants in the British media, and they talk about it's the greatest league and X, Y, and Z. But in the context of international play, that does not equate to selecting players based on the fact that they play in those leagues, because the most productive players in the EPL aren't English. And they have absolutely no time for any player who plays elsewhere. It's ridiculous. So you mean to tell me that because Gary Hooper doesn't play in the EPL against teams like, let's say he played for Southampton and he was scoring against the likes of Wigan, the likes of Fulham, the likes of Reading, would that make him a more credible striker than as he is right now? So essentially what you're telling me is Spartak Moscow, if they played in the Premiership, would not be as good as some of the teams that I just mentioned. Stoke. It's just this ignorant mindset once again that creeps up. Oh yeah, Lionel Messi, he's quality, but let's see him do it on a rainy Tuesday night in Stoke. Oh, bullshit. It's complete and utter nonsense, filled by ignoramuses who don't even pay attention to the Scottish League, like Adrian Durham and his pal, Goffey, bitter Hun. I mean, it's just absolutely atrocious. It's a matter of time before Gary Hooper gets the starting, not the starting, but the England call up. No question about it. It's a matter of time. And I'm just hopeful that it's not after Gary Hooper were to move on. because that just justifies this ignorant mindset that if players don't play in the EPL, if English players don't play in the EPL, they're not worthy of a call-up. That's absolute rubbish. We've seen his quality, not just throughout Scotland. Yes, there are circumstances. Gary Hooper puts 4 goals up against Wraith Rovers. It's not the same level as many of the EPL teams. But 4 goals is 4 goals. I don't care who you're going up against. This is absolute nonsense. Speaking of which, now we're joined by the Parrot. Hail, Parrot.
Hey, guys, how you doing? Okay.
Yeah, not bad. Now you were at the game today. Looked absolutely beautiful. The weather there is better than it is here. That's just depressing. But I hope you're enjoying it. I hope you enjoyed the game. What were your thoughts?
I went down early. Obviously, I took a few snaps, but I met some of the girls from the Bishop Crozas CSC. So
lovely.
I had a Peter Lowell Mellow Birds with them, which wasn't the best.
Oof, it sounds
and then,
weak.
Pope Paul bought me a pie and a coffee inside the game.
Did you have to take out a second mortgage? It's a bit dear. The concessions in Celtic Park. I'm hearing.
The only person who earns more money than Peter Lowell in Glasgow is Pope Paul with his taxi, mate. Lucky he's not on Skype. I couldn't get away with that one. Reference the game, I've got a few serious points for you guys, and I've got a few bits of cash and carry banter. So whatever order you want them in, I've taken notes. Let me know.
Yep, fire away.
Okay, I'll do the European stuff first. I was talking to a few of the guys at the game today, and they were telling me an incident about 3 Celtic fans from one of the South Side buses were actually in a bar in Moscow for 3 hours drinking away, and unfortunately the barmaid stitched them up, and there was 25 black coat wearing Russian football hooligans outside the pub for them.
Oh, that sounds dodgy.
Yeah, stole their banner off them and basically stitched them up, but by luck the bar security sort of sorted it out. But yeah, I said it was quite intimidating. It wasn't the best. The game today, yeah, I enjoyed it, Graham. I mean, it put me in mind there was some good banter there today. I put some of the pictures up in the Facebook page.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, mate. I love doing it. One of the old guys who sits beside is called Davey, and they hated Samaras. And during the game, that's what the pictures are of. He's the old guy in the picture. And basically, we said to him before we scored today, he said, if Samaras scores, we're going to do a cash and carry Green Brigade, throw you up in the air and just throw you around the top of the ground. So obviously Sammy scored a goal and we eyed him up. So basically, and then obviously Sammy nearly got 3. But no, I mean, today's antidote for the game, I remember my late father telling me about when the good old days going to the jungle, when you could take a carry out, and he said with the Lisbon Lions team, it was just a case of you knew Celtic were going to win, you just get in and get drunk, and half the time my late dad had to ask the score when he left the ground. He was that busy just having banter. I think, the lads, I know Simmy, the free drum, Paul was there. I'm not sure if Simmy was there today. I think we're just going to put it in context here. All right, the atmosphere isn't as great. The club's had a fantastic week. We had the strip launch today, the team playing it. And we look at my poor old cousins at the Govan Globetrotters, what they've been through. I was reliably informed last night that one of the Sevco fans phoned up Radio Clyde complaining that John Park was a ridiculous scout for Rangers, to be told by one of the pundits he was actually Celtic's scout.
Jesus.
So, on a really light note, Pope Paul gave me an offer for this weekend. It was my birthday last week, obviously, but he said I could either go and see Kevin Bridges with him last night, the Glasgow comedian who's a Celtic fan,
sure,
or I could go and see Neil Sedaka tomorrow night. So me and Pope Paul's going to see Neil Sedaka, so to get the shiny shoes on. But he was saying that Kevin Bridges told her he was basically ripping into the Sevco fans in the crowd, and the great story was, he said in Glasgow there used to be, with the football, it used to be a 2-horse race, and then one of the horses died, and all we've got is one team that does show jumping now. Which didn't go down too well. The other thing was, on a serious note for the game, Jason mentioned on the Homeboys last Monday night about the police really cracking down now and people singing, etc. One of the guys, Philip, he runs one of the buses in the south side. Philip sits right behind Neil Lennon at Celtic Park, and he always wears an luminous yellow coat. And basically, during the Wraith Rovers game, when Rafe Rovers equalised. I mean, Phillips, he's a bigger guy than me. He's a very animated bloke. When Rafe Rovers equalised, Phillip jumped up and gave the gaffer a mouthful, saying, "What the F's that?" And basically, Neil Lennon turned round and said to him, "Sit in your effing ass," basically. It was a deflection. To that amount, Philip said he was looking round and everybody's just going, "Oh, what are you going to do now?" Neil Lennon's called you out, sort of thing. So he then shouted back at Neil Lennon, "I pay £1,500 a year for this. I've not been entertained in months," sort of thing, and laughed it off. After that, Neil Lennon went back into his dugout. The game carried on and Celtic won. The stewards who stand round Philip are really friendly with him. And after the game, one of the stewards grabbed Philip and says, "You get out of jail there." And he says, "Oh, what do you mean?" He says, "The fact that Neil Lennon shouted back at you saved you. One of the police officers, a female police officer, wanted to arrest you for shouting out."
So by Neil Lennon responding...
It saved Philip from getting to jail, basically, yeah. So this is the sort of stereo environment. I know there's a lot of people going on about there's not enough singing and atmosphere, but you can't really do anything if you're under threat of arrest for lambasting. You know, we're lucky nobody comes up to the Parrot's Perch. I'm quite safe up there. The only other thing is I put a few pictures up. I don't know if you guys in the States and Canada and that would have seen it. Harold Brattack was on the pitch at halftime.
Really? Well, he wasn't he wasn't taking shooting practice, was he? Because if there's kids in the crowd, they need to pay attention. There's just balls flying all over the place.
Oh, as Paul likes to call him, the White Sheriff.
Hey, let's not forget he scored one of the most important goals in Celtic history. Let's give him credit for that.
To be honest, one of the pictures I put up in the Beyond the Waves page is actually a lovely picture of Harold on the big screen, and the goal was shown on the screen, and he says he loved his time at Celtic and stuff. I didn't get everything he said, sort of thing, with the shambles up by me, but no, as I say, they stopped the 10 in a row, and it's nice to see an ex-Celtic player coming back and being positive again about the club instead of the sewer rats who work for the Scottish journalists who just drag their name through the mud, you know. Mm-hmm. But no, just to finish off, to stop my cash and carry rambling, after the game, Paul decided he was going to give me a run home, but he forgot to tell me that the two were dressed in green like a pair of leprechauns. He decided to jump in his Popemobile to go and pick up his little girl, and we basically had to drive down the most notorious Rangers Street where the stadium is, Paisley Road West, and all the bars have got the Union Jacks and all the rags of the Crown. There was no fans out the street at all. It was like a Michael Jackson video. The streets are deserted. just as Dionne Warwick Heartbreaker comes down and he's got the windows rolled down. I hope Fat Sally couldn't hear it from his office. He was probably going to jump.
What a scene!
But, yeah, I mean, you're probably aware of the article Tom English did for the Scotsman today about the flying bigot, Andy Gorham.
Yeah, not a bad piece from the resident West Brit. Calling out Andy Gorham for his outlandish support of the UVF and the fact that he's never called on it, by the mainstream media, in spite of the fact that they take every opportunity they possibly can and even fabricate stories against Celtic players, both current and in the past. It's absolutely atrocious. Fair play to Tom English for highlighting this, but just to be clear, I'm no friend to Tom English either. I mean, he's got some cheek to point out the credibility and the intentions of anybody in the mainstream media. He has a lot of reparations to make before he's going to become a credible source, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely totally agree with you. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what sort of reception Fat Sally gets in tomorrow's papers.
Yeah, I would expect something similar to what happened in the BBC yesterday, which was buried, in the margins, way down, where hardly anybody can see it. It was very clear what the intent was just after the game yesterday. 1-0 result, and the first highlight on not just the Scottish football page on the BBC, but also the third division page was East Montrose. It wasn't Stirling, it wasn't the Rangers or the Sevco or the Zombies or the shit. It was East Montrose. So this is going to be their calling moving forward. Anything bad, bury it. Anything good, blow it out of proportion. And no matter what, maintain the stance that Neil Lennon is evil.
I mean, I think the thing. It was everybody's probably seen it on Twitter. I do apologise if everybody has. There was a lady, I don't know who she reported, but she basically said that one of the Stirling players had actually served her in the butchers in the morning of the game to go and get a pound of square sausage. And then they were playing against him. I mean, he must be good at getting up against dead meat. He was playing against 11 members of it that day. But,
well, I saw. I'm sorry. Sorry to cut you off. I did see a brilliant tweet, that was sent out talking about the Sterling manager and the fact that he wasn't even there. But somewhere in between, the cutting of the cake and Dancing Queen, he made a brilliant managerial call that led to a 1-0.
Well, I mean, it's even. I know there was I listened to the BBC afterwards, the phone-in show with Jabba Trainer, and there was a lot of people saying that the fact that in days of old, when it was the old zombie team, that the fact that those players would have had to have walked home. It was the Scottish Personality of the Year Awards last night, and you had the bold elbows McCulloch appearing at it with a cash and carry BG style 60s shiny suit on. Happy as Larry with his fake tan on at 8 PM now. I'm sure as hell if my club had been defeated by a part-time worst team in the league, I'd have expected my players to be hiding underneath the couch, sort of thing, at least.
No question. Yeah.
My final point is it's going to be interesting to see how the club plays the Halloween Fest coming up. I mean, Celtic's now officially advertising the game against Kilmarnock at Celtic Park as Zombie Night with a Halloween theme. So, I've heard stories about guys turning up in Hector the Inspector outfits last season and being told by the stewards and the police that it was an inflammatory costume, please refrain from wearing it and put it in the bin. So if Celtic's advertising Zombie, I'm going to get Paul a costume, So if Celtic's advertising it, surely we can all go and dressed as zombies. But no, it was a good 3 points today. I mean, the only thing I'll say is, Graham, it's the first I've spoken to you, mate. I mean, I know you get baracked on Twitter, mate, but I tell you what, there should be a statue you at Celtic Park for your highlighting of Ambrose, mate. What a player. And I think we're losing them, playing him in defence after seeing him against Raith Rovers. I definitely think he's better in the middle of the park. I don't know if it's maybe a lesson for Thomas Rogney to keep him out of the team, to let him have a bit of humble pie to see he's not really needed. But I thought Lustig was very good today. Izzy Gary's coming back. He was excellent against Motherwell as well. I mean, it was just that it was a nice. Don't get me wrong, it'd have been nicer if it'd been 2-0 or 3-0. But we're not going to win every game 5 or 6-0. The league's not going as badly as the Armageddon folk said. I think I read an article somewhere this morning saying that the only team who's actually down in attendance so far is St Mirren, who are down by 500, but Celtic's not been there yet.
It's apocalypse, Timmy. It's apocalypse.
But definitely so. But there was the off the ball with Cowan and Cosgrove yesterday, and Mr Spears was on it. And you guys are probably aware of the fact that Hampden's closing Friday. For the Commonwealth Games are taking place in Glasgow, obviously, but they're going to be turning Hampden into an Olympic track.
Right, I heard that they're going to raise the pitch a couple of meters, take some seats out, and put it in a running track.
So I said Olympic, a running track, but they're now looking at the space where I think the SFA and the Funny Handshake Brigade, it's always been the West Coast Mafia sort of thing, and it's for a national stadium. Hampden's embarrassing.
Of course,
so
of course, it's people in plush, comfy offices, who have zero accountability to anyone, who are not just, intent and just reclined to accept the decline of Scottish football, but they facilitate it by bad-mouthing it at every opportunity instead of having some imagination, and some intent and some drive to improve the game within Scotland, not just for the national team, but for development, for the facilities. I mean, look at what Portugal did, putting together the Euro bid in 2004. It, put forth all sorts of infrastructure to build the stadiums and the transport and everything else. And then, after the games are over, they turn the stadiums over to the teams, and now their league is thriving. We tried to put together a Celtic bid for the Euros, encompassing Wales, Scotland, and Ireland itself. And it's just look at the people who are in charge, just absolutely inept, and it's not surprising that it fell short. These people are absolute numpties.
Well, I mean, on the show yesterday, that they were definitely trying to drag the power base of Scottish football out of Glasgow, which to me isn't a bad thing. As speaking as a Glaswegian, I think we must be the only country in the world where the national stadium isn't in the capital.
Yeah,
you know, I'd play it. I'd have sold the old Hampden off and redeveloped Murrayfield into a 100,000 seater. You know, it's apart from Alex Salmon, I think everybody realises we are a small country here. You know.
But you're a country that is passionate about this game. This isn't like, just some sort of second rate game or a game that doesn't receive the most amount of attention. I mean, out with rugby, this is the sport of Scotland. You look at Ireland. Soccer, in Ireland is not, the top-notch, sort of top-level athletic endeavor. They have the Gaelic games. It sort of plays second fiddle to that. But, nonetheless, they figure out ways to redevelop their parks. They figure out ways to qualify for major tournaments. They figure out ways to albeit when they get there, it was absolutely atrocious. But nonetheless, when you contrast what Ireland's been able to do on a consistent basis with, and their trajectory, with what Scotland has done and the downward decline, I mean, there's no excuse.
Oh yeah, I mean, as I say, buddy, I totally agree with you. But it suited too many folk for too long. The SFA being nice and cosy in the south side, and it's only a 20-minute drive from deepest Ayrshire or deepest Lanarkshire, where all the Lord of the Rings extras live, sort of thing.
Yeah,
most of the Tartan Army probably travelled from. There was suggestions yesterday on the show that it'd be good for Scotland for the ground to actually be somewhere like Stirling, which is in the main communication hub,
Right.
I mean, I was talking to Tony Cassidy, Pope Paul highlighted it to me, I'd forgotten all about it. He's probably seen it on Twitter. I put up that Celtic Park used to have its own train station in the 1960s, and it was the Tory government who shut it down, as well as 5,000 miles of at-shore or rail line. But yeah, as I say, mate, I mean, it's all looking good. The velodrome was opened yesterday, and for what Jim Spence was saying online, it's a quicker track than what Chris Hoy won. So yeah, there's football tracks grounds behind it, but no, it's all good, mate. But well done getting $15 for a little Oscar off me. I never thought we'd have scored 3 goals in Moscow.
Fantastic. Hey, you know what? Not going to argue though. And we definitely want to give an update on We Oscar as well. Steve, thanks so much for calling in.
Yeah, no problem at all, guys. I've been rabbiting on too much. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Really appreciate it. Really appreciate the pictures, and all the best. Keep the faith, pal.
All right, pal. Ta-ra.
Yep. Cheers. Steve Monahan, a.k.a. The Parrot. Hey, Rev, what does it take to become a zombie?
Would New York sports teams?
What universe are we going with here?
Jesus, Rev, it's just a simple question. What does it take to become a zombie?
I could sum it up pretty easily.
Dedication. Hi-oh.
Fair enough.
We just got to mention about We Oscar, and I just want to give an update here. First off, thank you so much to Phil McGillivant for donating a signed copy of Downfall, a best-selling a book, right now documenting the decline and the destruction and the death of Rangers. We were able to raise $280 US to donate to the We Oscar appeal, and the book is going out this week to the winner, signed. So thanks so much again to Phil, and congratulations to the winner. But for those who haven't noticed or maybe have been away from Twitter, We Oscar is in Philadelphia as we speak. They have met their goal. They have raised the commensurate amount to get him over here. It's going to be a 7-month process. He's in Philadelphia, going to be visiting Children's Hospital there, and we're just delighted. The fact that so much money was been able to be raised, and thank you so much to everyone who participated in our telethon and who's just continued to donate. It's absolutely brilliant. He's in Philadelphia now just because they met their goal, so to speak, to get him here. The effort is not done, and the drive continues, and they still are desperate. They definitely need funds ongoing. And for any folks who are in the Philadelphia area who are listening in, who maybe can lend a hand, please get in touch. At BTW Celtic Show, we can give you the information that you can get in touch with Stephen and Leona we ask his parents and with whatever sort of help, but please keep the donations going. Every bit is absolutely vital for them while they're doing the training, and all the best to them. And hopefully we can continue to support them and just help in any way we possibly can. But I can't be any more delighted that that they saw their goals being fulfilled, and as well as the Vanessa Riddle appeal. She was over in Germany getting her treatment, and then was able to find a way back from Germany. In spite of she did have some immune problems, as does tend to happen with the chemotherapy and the treatment for these aggressive cancers. But all the best to her as well, and in the recovery. And please keep spreading the word, and all that great stuff. Stephen also mentioned there the topic that came up on the Homeboys, and this has really constantly been an issue that's really been smoldering beneath the surface, and has kicked off once again. It's the issue with the songs. And it was reported that somebody was arrested at Motherwell for singing Roll of Honor on their way to the toilet, or whatever the case is. Everybody has opinions in terms of I'm offended by this, I'm offended by that. That's offensive, which is fine. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. The court of law has deemed the Famine song to be illegal. Full stop. It's illegal. Okay. And that's aside from whatever your opinion is. My opinion and the song and its implications or whatever is completely regardless. The court of law has deemed that illegal. So that's a complete non-starter. Okay. But this idea that you are going to somehow equate singing a song like Roll of Honor with the Famine song, I'm sorry. I just got nothing for you. There is an ocean between singing of the Famine song, which mocks the genocide of a particular people. I mean, the context of that is having a go at a particular race of people. That's why it was deemed illegal. I mean, this is a foreign concept for us, no pun intended, here in the United States, because, we have the First Amendment, and this it wouldn't be looked on kindly, but it wouldn't be deemed illegal. Not the case in the UK, but the terms of how it was deemed illegal, and the context is because of the context of the song. It's racist. It's celebrating the genocide of a particular people because of their nationality. And that you are never ever going to be able to explain to me the fact that, and have it make sense, the fact that is the same as Roll of Honor. Roll of Honor, yes, I understand why people would be offended, in a certain context, if that song is sung. I get it, but it's a political song. It has nothing to do with anybody's race. It has nothing to do with an entire nationality of people being under the scope of genocide. It's completely different. Yes, I understand why some folks would find it offensive. I get it, but it's not the same. Coach, let me get your thoughts on this. I know that it's a topic that you're well versed in. What are your thoughts when you hear the point being made that the Famine song should be illegal because but it's offensive, but our songs are offensive too, so they're really the same. Well, I mean, what are your thoughts when you hear that?
I'm gonna let you down. I'm sick and tired of the topic, to tell you the truth.
Well,
I don't think they're comparable at all, and we just go over the same thing over and over and beat it to death, and
you're right.
Changed. It's no different than before.
You're right. Rev, what does FIFA say about the singing of the songs?
You can put anything in you want in there, and they don't stop you.
Interesting. Okay.
No, but it's something that we've gone over on the show before, and everyone at large has brought it up. But I mean, it's going by law. It's pretty cut and dry where one is illegal and the other isn't, except it's not being enforced. So what do you do there? And then you have enterprising police officers who take it upon themselves to arrest someone, saying something that isn't illegal. So it's like, what do you do there?
Yeah, it's a touchy one, but when I hear the thought behind it, like, listen, if you want to make it so that everything's legal, sing whatever you want, it doesn't bother me, that's fine. But I'm never going to be of the mind that the Famine song is the same as any of the Rebel songs. I'm sorry. It's just my opinion. You're right. We have gone over this, a billion times. I'm just, it just boggles my mind, though. And people getting arrested, Celtic supporters getting arrested at football grounds for singing our songs is not a result of our outrage at the Famine song. I'm sorry. I do not get that whatsoever. And this isn't a new issue. Our supporters have been lifted at football grounds for decades, for all sorts of reasons, and you know full well why it is. It has nothing to do with our reaction or our outrage of the Famine song. And I'm not about to make anybody wrong for being offended by hearing the Famine song. If somebody gets lifted at a football ground, that's a police issue. And the police have been of a particular mindset for decades. This is not new. Coach, you were going to say?
The plain difference is that one song is about remembering a group of men, and the other song is basically, as you said, completely racist. They're not the same in any way.
Yeah. So that's just
if you're singing, we're gonna blow up your bus after the game, you bastards. You
can
get lifted for that.
You Protestant bastards or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, there's no Protestant specific songs that I'm hearing being sung at a football ground. I hear you snickering, Coach. But
I don't know. I'm just sick of it.
I am too. All right.
Well, there was that first one of the first games this year, and I think I'm trying to remember what it was. I think people were singing "Set Them Free," and like Twitter exploded, about why they should, that shouldn't be sung, and people are going back and forth at each other. Titter exploded.
I agree with Dr. Freud.
But it's like I could see where people wouldn't like it, but at the same time, or thinking that it doesn't belong or whatever. But at the same time, if you're doing it in a country where things can be deemed illegal, and this has not been deemed illegal, then from looking from an American mindset where nothing is illegal, basically, in that regard, would something might not, be in good taste, sure, but, if we're going to get into, arrests and things like that, then that's unnecessary.
Leaving the legal thing aside, I take issue with the argument that's bandied out there that the Famine song is exactly the same as any of the Rebel songs, and that's all I'm going to say about it.
No, yeah, it's not.
Whether it's illegal, whether it's not, whether people are getting lifted, I don't care. They're not the same, and that's all. That's all I got to say about it. The parent brought it up, and it was sort of on the on the tip of the mind there. So anyway, hey, Rev, what's a zombie's favorite toy?
I don't know. What is a zombie's favorite toy?
A teddy bear. Okay, so we also heard from, as I mentioned before in the opening, we heard from Dermot Desmond this week, who, on the heels of a fantastic performance in Moscow, where the attention should have really been, fully on our team, and the fantastic performance that they put in and the result that we got, Dermot Desmond made some controversial comments, specifically, and controversial with the Celtic support, specifically saying that Rangers, and he said Rangers, so immediately he justifies their continued existence. Rangers are a great club with fantastic support, and there's no and I'm paraphrasing now, there's no question that they'll be back in the SPL very soon. And it was a shame that they were relegated. Rev, what are your thoughts?
Everything.
What are your thoughts when you hear this? Because there was. I mean, I reacted immediately. I mean, it's. What are you thinking? The mainstream media is looking for exactly that. So he says that, and then the mainstream media can say, "Up, see, even the majority shareholder of your club agrees that Rangers still exist, and they were just relegated, and all this is just punishment. It's all it is. Poor Sevco, poor Rangers. They're not even Sevco, they're Rangers." And then
Right.
you hear this backlash on Twitter and the message boards. Dermot Desmond's a genius. Well, he's a billionaire. So people don't get to be billionaires unless they're geniuses, and he's a genius. And, there was always this like, oh, he knows what he's doing. But I never heard an explanation for exactly what it was that he's doing. Everybody has these like Machiavellian explanations for it, but there's no logic that's being, he knows what he's doing. Well, how? What's sort of the usual suspect's angle that he's taking here? What am I missing? Nobody ever explained it to me. The only thing that people say, he's a genius. He knows what he's doing. He wouldn't say something like that unless he knew what he was doing. Well, what exactly was he doing?
I just go and pin it as just another out of touch old dude.
Simple enough. Coach, you just sort of gave your thoughts there. I mean, what did you?
It's embarrassing.
What could possibly? Let's try and figure this out, though. There's. I mean, he has a huge following, as was evidenced. People say, well, he's a massive Tim, and he played them like a fiddle. I mean, what are we missing? I don't understand how he played them like a fiddle. All he did was give them ammunition that justifies their ridiculous propaganda by validating it.
Maybe he's he's counting every penny, man, and he sees those missed games against them with the big gates, and that's all I could think that for a reason he would say that, or he just is, like Rev said, out of touch. And I mean, Christ's sake.
Yeah,
they're going to be back in the Premier League very soon. Very soon.
Well.
And they were relegated? They were friggin' relegated.
Exactly. That was
they were kicked the hell out.
That was what ground me. The fact that he said...
They didn't go down because of bad play.
They were relegated. Yeah, exactly. He just lends credence to, this this idea.
Man. Call a spade a spade.
And people were trying to say, oh, he was just taking the piss or he was just joking. Listen, there was video of it. It wasn't like, this was just a random quote or, just sort of an off remark. There was video of him saying, I didn't detect a wry smile. I didn't detect any sarcasm. What I saw was him trying to take the high road, and in the process, he went off a cliff. You have to have an understanding of the details there. And especially when all that was really required in that position was, we can't really worry about what other clubs are doing. It's a fantastic time for Celtic at this point, and we're just going to continue focusing on that. He could have even said, it's a tough time that they're going through right now. I have full faith that they'll be able to see this through. They're a massive club, and that's it.
Don't even answer it.
You don't have to alienate your own support in the process. This idea that he was just playing them and it was all just sort of this charade. I don't buy it. It's absolute nonsense. Why would he? Why would he not make it blatantly obvious that he was being sarcastic? And even if he was, that's not taking the high road. If he said all that and being sarcastic, it was completely maladvised. Because he might as well just, if he's going to say all that in a sarcastic light, he might as well just say, get it right up him.
See, but if that came out of Scott Brown's mouth, you could definitely read it as sarcasm.
It's all in how you say it, though, and I don't think he intended it that way. The context wasn't there for him to
I don't either. I think it was perfect business speak.
Exactly. I mean, this
is what's safe to say. Outside of supporters not liking it, nobody in the boardrooms is going to have a problem with it.
Yeah, exactly. It's a business to him. He said, well, we miss the old firm games. I'm sure he does because it's a huge hit in terms of gate receipts.
Got a cash register sound? Cha-ching.
Yeah, I just don't understand the rush to go and just sort of defend him and justify the comments without any sort of context behind it. If he was joking, if that was sarcastic, then that's just as good as him saying, get right up when they're getting everything they deserve. But I just didn't pick up any sort of sarcasm. I just think that he was trying to take the high road, and he overcooked it. He overdid it. Neil Lennon came out, and obviously the Daily Record's going to pick up on that, and the Celtic support is in a fury about this. Well, it's the type of soundbite that'll pass in a couple of days. And Neil Lennon came out and defended him and the role that Dermot Desmond has played in his time as manager, and that's all well and good. That's fine, and he could be the biggest Celtic supporter in the world. But the comments that he made were completely out of touch with the mood and the mindset of Celtic supporters, which for him, the businessman, are his customers. That's how he looks at us, as his customers. It was a very out of touch thing to say. It didn't need to be said. There could have been a very simple way to take the high road and not justify and validate this nonsense, this propaganda that they bandy about being relegated and its punishment, and Rangers still exists and it will never die. It's dead. It's a dead club.
This is the opposite from I forget who it was, if it was Whitaker or Naismith or whoever when they left.
Yeah, it was Whitaker. Yeah,
and he's just like, well, I have no allegiance to this club. This is a new club. They're gone. So it's that was, I'm sure, or this this is kind of like our version of that having like for them Hun number one going out and. And saying that it's completely dead, and
that has a ring to it. Hun number one.
Yeah, and here you've got the guy who's the majority shareholder, and he's coming out on their side. It's like, what are you thinking? Like
Yeah, I can't make heads or tails of it. If anybody has cracked this code, that he really intended by it, or how this was a genius maneuver, please let me know.
It sounds like something that a guy who sees benefit in joint sponsorship would say.
That sir was very, very well put. Moving right along, we got new contracts for 3 of our young players who've come through the system, who we've really depended on. Very exciting. We've got a lot of the core of this team, the nucleus, locked up until 2016. I'm talking about Forrest, Charlie Mulgrew, and who was the third one? Commons?
Matthews.
Matthews, thank you. Who obviously Matthews didn't come up through the system, but certainly a young player with a lot of upside, tremendous upside. Who it's phenomenal. And we're seeing the benefit of the funds that were raised from selling Keon. Now we can offer extended, improved contracts to some of our core younger players who hopefully can play together for several years. That'd be absolutely phenomenal.
That makes for happy players.
No question. And if we can get them to play together for an extended run of years, while continuing to bring through our young players from Lennoxtown, I mean, this has the makings of an extended period of greatness, for Celtic. Rev?
Sorry, say that again. You dropped off for a minute.
I was just talking about the contracts. The ability for us to lock up some of these young players, who have tremendous upside, playing together over a series of years while bringing through young talent through Lennoxtown, and to sort of season the side and supplement. This has the makings of a sustained period of excellence for Celtic going forward. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely, and this is the kind of model that you want to have. I mean, you kind of want a balance between bringing in youngsters, keeping them, and also bringing in some older talent, some veterans, who have skill and experience to then teach the youngsters that you now bring in. Let them grow up with the team, sell them on for a good amount of money, and just pump that money back into the cycle and just rinse and repeat and just keep going over until you build up to something like a Barcelona, which I think if they continue down this path of how, it's not going to take, it's not going to be overnight. It's going to take a few years, but if they can continue this method of, of player development and, who they bring in and, the experience that can be imparted upon the youngsters and, their value in the worldwide sport, that's wholly obtainable. And I see no reason why we can't be a team like that.
How about this, Coach? A guy, a skinhead is lecturing us about rinse and repeat. What are your thoughts, Coach? I mean,
Ain't doing me any good.
What are your thoughts on all this? I mean, locking up the young players. Obviously, there's going to be, the prying eyes of the EPL upon them, and looking to lure some of them away at certain points. We're hearing about Manchester United scouts at Celtic Park each week. Certainly Wanyama is a player that's getting a lot of attention. I would think at some point James Forrest would be getting a look. It was rumored that Spurs were in for him last season. I'm sure that's not going to be the last time an EPL team is going to come in with their, like I said, prying eyes and so on and so forth. But this should, give them a bit more stability and a bit more comfort in their position at Celtic Park, especially in light of the fact that we're playing Champions League, and it looks as though there's absolutely no reason why this will not continue.
Well, it's great for us as long as we can keep them, but guys start to make more money in a lower league. It's going to start raising attention in the leagues that are used to paying those amounts. So but that's what we are, right?
Yeah, well,
we're a feeder system for the better leagues.
Yeah, until we start beating them, and then they start taking notice, and that's what it's going to come down to. There have been models for this, throughout Europe. When you look at the classic Ajax model and the success that they've had throughout Europe, most notably in 1995, or most recently rather, 1995, really linking up some older heads with some young players coming through, and players who turned out to be legendary for a very long time. Porto, very recently, and throughout, Jose Mourinho, obviously during his time, bringing through players, selling them on for just an incredible profits, and it continues till today. They sold on Hulk for a ridiculous amount, and even some of the other Portuguese sides. That's the model that we need to be going after. That's the Rosetta Stone, if you will. That's the process, the blueprint that we need to follow, where we can constantly refresh our side and be competitive on a perennial basis. Look at Porto. Porto are no mugs. In spite of losing some really dynamic players, on their end, and they're holding their own. Benfica, they're having a bit more of a struggle with it just now. They lost a lot of their teeth, as it were. The heart of that side was really ripped out. But I've no question that with their scouting network and the way that they do business, it won't be long before we're seeing the next crop of talented young players coming through the Benfica side, and they'll be competing on a more robust scale in Europe. It just won't be this year, obviously. But I think that's the model. That's the model that we can go for. Let the EPL sides overpay for the likes of Jordan Henderson, or Andy Carroll, or whoever you'd like. Let them waste all of this money that they get from their TV revenue, because all it does is dilute their already stale league. It really does. Yes, there's some fine football being played there, but it's all about expectation. It's all about context. When you have the expectations based on the hype, based on the bankrupt plaudits, the performance that we see on a weekly basis falls well short. Therefore, the perception that we have of that league, at least in my opinion, is it's average at best. And based on the expectation this is the greatest thing ever, it's crap. I don't see anybody lining up to watch Wigan Stoke. Sorry. I just don't. Sorry to offend the Stoke and Wigan fans, but,
Fan.
Interesting stuff. Well, I just I see nothing but good stuff and positivity going forward. A little bit of discussion this week. Just a shout out to a good friend of the show, the Green and White writer Paul Larkin. He had an interesting blog midweek talking about the level of commentary that we have just now. We saw just a fantastic example of exactly what Paul was talking about today with Andy Walker. Uncle Tim extraordinaire, talking about, Izzy gets pushed down I mean, just in full view of Craig Thompson, pushed to the ground by a Hearts player. Nothing doing there. Nothing to do with it. He calls it an embarrassment. This coming from the guy who said that any incidental contact that a striker may feel, he should go completely and immediately to the ground. Way to be consistent. Ball bag. Good Lord, Coach.
What's that?
Is that you?
Yeah,
Oof.
that was for Harper.
Man, you got some heavy fingers.
That's some Doogie Howser shit right there.
Hey, I'm
I did that on purpose.
Yeah, Rev is Vinny. He's gonna hop through the window. Yo, Duke. But the commentary, and what Paul had pointed out, which I think is a valid point, I want to get both of your thoughts on this, is that the quality of commentary in Scotland, and this has been discussed on Homeboys as well, is absolutely atrocious. You go back to the Champions League game, and Davy Provan talking about just throwing out meaningless cliches. I mean, give us say something that's going to inform the listener or the viewer. You've played the game. Tell us something that we didn't know. Give us some analysis. This is the level that we're left with. And, I've heard arguments being thrown back at me like, well, we're a smaller league, so this is what you get with a smaller league. Nonsense. It's another situation where people, in the hierarchy just accept whatever is thrown at them and justify the fact that this is a minnow league, it's a smaller league. So that means we don't deserve better commentary? It's called professionalism. Anybody who steps up to a microphone is expected and should give out as much preparation and as much delivery as they possibly can. And not think to themselves, well, this is just the SPL, so I'll mail it in. That's just completely unprofessional. If that's the justification. Go ahead, Rev.
It's really not that hard to find someone who I'm sure would, try hard or try at all. You know what I mean? Like, how many guys, I'm not saying that the talent pool is endless, but I mean, between ex-players, ex-managers, you got to find somebody who's decent enough to, stick in front of a camera or, behind a microphone and just talk completely out of their ass for 90 minutes. How hard can it be?
Yeah, well, take some pride in what you're doing. Do some research.
Right. But I mean, like, where you're talking, like, and I'm trying to remember Tuesday's game. I don't remember a lot of specifics by now, but, mostly it's just in one ear and out the other ear anyway. But, it's just the tired old stuff, just this passive aggressive, BS towards Celtic, and, they're constantly reminding everybody how it's been, whatever, 25 years, 19 away games since their last European away win, like all this, passive aggressive stuff, putting the team down. It's like, don't you have anything better to say? Like, you don't get tired of repeating this over and over again?
Yeah, it's just lazy is all it is, and by us continuing to accept it, it only proliferates it. It only continues it, and it's just
right. I'm sure there's some even like a young kid, or not a kid, but some somebody younger who wants to get their announcing chops, that would jump at a chance like this, or someone like I said, an ex-player who isn't gonna put the teams down, or just spew bullshit. They actually have something insightful to say for once. Like, how hard can it be to find somebody, or like one or two people that are like that? I know not every person who was played is the most brilliant, but I mean, there's got to be somebody better.
Well, not only that, they take every opportunity whatsoever to just sort of talk down Scottish football. And you see such a contrast between, and the Homeboys have talked about this, where you see such a contrast of like the overhyped, just hot air machine that is talked about with the EPL, and it's completely the reverse with the SPL. It's constantly just talking it down and almost like apologetic in the process. Who do you work for?
Right. You would think that these are the people that are, paying the wages of these announcers and stuff, and that they would be like, hey, shut up. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I cannot find another example of someone who's trying to sell something while at the same time bashing it. Coach, you're a Red Sox fan this year.
I'm a Red Sox fan every year.
Well, I'm just going to use the.
Come on now.
Look at that. I got
no Yankees situation.
I got something out of Rev there. Rev like that one.
I had to mute myself. I'm sorry.
Is that the old ladies from Monty Python?
Coach, what are your thoughts with this? I mean, are we overdoing this? Is this, I mean, it couldn't have been more appropriate, especially considering that, what we saw today. Constantly, well, this is just the level of Scottish football. And, fortunately, they've moved past this whole, well, Scottish football is in this current predicament because there's no Rangers. Well, you know what? I think as the Parrot made the point very saliently, there is no Rangers, and Scottish football is actually better off for it.
Seems to be doing okay.
Armageddon, Timmy. Gotta love it.
Yeah.
So Paul's blog was on hailhailmedia.com from this week. It was entitled "It Wasn't in the Script." Check it out if you haven't already. And Paul's blog is thefrontofthebus.blogspot.com. Speaking of which, Paul has very generously offered a box set, if you will, of his 4 books. The Paul Arkin's Greatest Hits.
The anthology.
The Paul Arkin anthology. You get the White Album. You get Sgt. Pepper.
Well, he did help Paul McCartney write a song, so
that's true.
Unfortunately, you also get the one with the dead babies on the cover.
Okay, and we're just gonna back. We're gonna back away. We're gonna back away. Okay,
come on. What was that Beatles album with the? They were sitting there with all.
We're trying to shut the door.
Come on, you missed it.
The title of Paul's new book, by any means necessary, A Journey with Celtic Band Pots, absolutely phenomenal. I'm reading through it myself. The only thing that I can say is that you will be shocked when you're reading this. You will be shocked, and I'm really enjoying it. I mean, I enjoy Paul's writing. I don't think there's any mistake about that. I've gone on extensively about my admiration for his work and how he writes, but this book was like one of those books that you read and you can just escape. I mean, like an hour and a half later, you look up and it's like, whoa, I'm still sitting on the edge of my bed, and you just it will take you away. You will get sucked into the story, and he's talking about himself and the experiences that he went through in New York, and the way that he writes and the anecdote. I mean, it's phenomenal. It's shocking. It's very, very powerful. It's very personal. It's going to be available soon. I cannot say enough about it. You cannot miss this book. But Paul has offered to donate a box set of his books, and we're going to put that up on eBay, similarly to how we did the auction for Phil McGillivon's book, and the proceeds will go to We Oscar as well. So thank you so much to Paul. Please stay tuned for details on that. At BTW Celtic Show, we'll have all of that. We'll be tweeting links. You can pay attention. I'm sure Paul will be tweeting links to that as well. And like I said, the We Oscar appeal, they've met their goal, their initial goal, but the fundraising must continue and the work goes on. So please, donate and spread the word, and whatever you can spare. It's really going towards a good cause, helping out, fantastic effort. I think we'll close on one a particular topic. And, I was on a show yesterday. I was sort of unsure about whether or not I was even going to bring this up. The Vuvuzela World Soccer Show. It's a show that, is put on, Coach, you'd probably be familiar with this reference, WWDB in Philadelphia. It's an AM radio station, 860. I think it used to be the Sinatra channel. But it's a talk format now, and they have a soccer show which is hosted by Eric Nash every I believe it's every Saturday afternoon, 3 to 5. I tweeted a link, and I think some of the folks in the UK couldn't open the link, licensing and rights and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, I've been on this show before, and I'm happy enough to do it. I'm happy enough to support any sort of exposure and any sort of attention for the sport in the country. Especially on a media platform, and people are doing similar things to what we're doing. It's all good. From my perspective. What I found though yesterday and going on the show, I had no idea how much time I had available. I wasn't really given much of an outline or anything else like that. It turns out we only had about 15 minutes, maybe, and they had somebody on the show who I believe has their own show as well. And he has more clubs than Jack Nicklaus, in terms of who he follows. I looked at his website. It's like AFC Wimbledon, Liverpool, Clyde, LA Galaxy, Real Madrid, the list goes on. New York Cosmo, whatever, So it strikes me as jack of all trades, master of none. But, we got into a discussion about where Celtic are, talking about the Spartak game, and then, obviously the conversation sort of evolves into Fraser Forster getting the nod to the international side and the fact that Gary Hooper was overlooked. And this person, I'm not even sure I even want to punt his show, but he comes out and in full, just he couldn't have been more declarative in the fact that he doesn't pay attention to Scottish football. In spite of that, comes out and makes the case that there's no way that Gary Hooper should even be considered for the England national team, for the Three Lions, because he plays in a rubbish league. Yes, he scored goals in the Champions League, but it's a rubbish league, that has zero competition, and we really can't take any of Gary Hooper's performances as serious because he's going against Hearts every week or Hibs, and that's it. And it's a warm-up for the Champions League, and this is not sustainable. And in 3 years' time, that you're going to see a de-evolution of Celtic and Scottish football, because without Rangers, there is no Celtic. That was a big mistake. Now, I had the opportunity to retort, except I was cut off in the middle of my explanation. But what I did mention to him, he made the statement that, it's not like international teams are looking at, this player plays for Celtic, so we're going to have them in our international side. He says they have an Israeli guy, playing for Celtic. He's not even playing for the Israeli team. So I took the opportunity to remind him that, yes, we do have an Israeli player, Bram Kayal, and he's not playing for the Israeli side right now because he's not fit. I mean, how can you make it more obvious that you have no idea what you're talking about? You pay no attention to the Scottish League at all. You might be a Clyde supporter, I don't know, but you have absolutely no awareness. And in addition to that, we only had one player on the park today who was not a fully established international. Who was that, Rev? Wake up, Rev. It was Gary Hooper.
Gary Hooper?
Yes. Now, why? Why was Gary Hooper not a full-fledged international? Because he wasn't called up by Roy Hodgson. Now, why is that? Let's take a look at who Roy would fancy in front of him. The usual suspects. Wayne Rooney. Okay, yeah, fine. Wayne Rooney, when he's not shagging grands and when he's interested, world class. No question about it. But, who are you going to take instead? Andy Carroll. Donkey.
Utter donkey. And this is coming from a West Ham supporter, supposedly. Mm-hmm. Jermaine Defoe, a guy who can't even get a game for Spurs. Are you going to take him again? You are never going to find out how Gary Hooper is going to play in an international setup unless you play him. And again, it comes back to this argument of, well, Gary Hooper scored against Spartak, but, he's not playing in the greatest league on earth. Well, first off, it's not the greatest league on earth. It's the most overrated league on earth. And secondly, it's not the British players who are, or the premium strikers in that league. It's not. Look at any of the Premiership teams. It's not it's not Englishmen who are featured. It's not. So just because that league is good does not make English players any better. Based on that logic, now all of a sudden, Jas Højveld, it was absolute crap for us. Goes down to Southampton, now he's starting every week. Did Jas Højveld all of a sudden become world class because he's putting on the red kit of Southampton? Did Danny Fox, who was about average for us, all of a sudden become this world class player because he's playing in the EPL? No. So essentially, you're trying to tell me
Okay, yeah, Gary Hooper scored against Spartak, but, he doesn't play against a good enough competition on a weekly basis. So if he were playing for Southampton and he was going up against, and he was scoring goals for Wigan, and he was scoring goals for Fulham, and so on and so forth, you're essentially telling me, then that would prove his worth. So you're essentially telling me that you think that Spartak Moscow is better than Stoke, Sunderland, Wigan. That's essentially the case by proxy that you are trying to make to me. And it's nonsense. But this is the ignorance of the English media mentality and the English established football mentality. If you don't play in the EPL, you play in one of these ditty leagues, you're not even worth a look. And that, that's to their detraction, Bottom line.
If he's not worth anything, why are English teams looking at him?
It's a good question. And the shame of it, and listen, I don't even know why. I mean, I'm not sympathetic to the England side. I could care less about the England side, to be perfectly honest. It's more about Gary Hooper, and it's not fair. It's not fair to him that, that he doesn't even get a look simply because he plays for Celtic. Well, you know what? Celtic are they're getting out of this Champions League stage, the group stage. And I don't know how many English teams are going to be honest with you. Celtic are going to. So I don't know how they're gonna rubbish that and knock that back and talk that down. But this idea that Gary Hooper is it's ridiculous to even consider Gary Hooper for an England starting position is ignorance of the highest order.
Nah, it's not ignorance. It's bias.
Well,
I don't know. I'm biased, but everybody's got bias. Doesn't mean you're ignorant.
Including the ref.
I'm biased.
But their bias is,
Well, you know what? It's
a negative one.
It's to their loss. It is. I mean,
Or maybe bias isn't the right word. Maybe prejudice is the right word.
Well, it's prejudice, but then when I hear comments like I had on this show yesterday, that's bred of ignorance. When he's talking about, well, you have this Israeli guy who can't even get in the Israeli team. Are you kidding me? Why don't you just basically say, well, listen, I don't know anything about Celtic, but I'm just going to make this blanket statement because pretty much every media type is making the exact same statement. Oh, and by the way, it's not like the England national team is anything special. We have Swedish national players. We have Nigerian national players. Yes, we have Israeli national players. We have Kenyan national players. We have Venezuelan national players. We have Scottish national players. We have Greek national players. And on the day, I'd fancy them with a shot against this English team that the English media and the establishment types, want to put up on high on a pedestal as if they've done jack shit in the past 50 years. Get over yourselves. That's all I got to say. This idea that Gary Hooper can't play for the England team until he plays in the EPL is absolutely, it's nonsense. That's all I got to say about that.
You're not wrong.
Thank you, Ref. I appreciate your support.
That's unfortunately highlights the typical American soccer fan. Everyone needs to have a team that they follow in every league. And I'll admit I have teams that I'm sympathetic towards, but by no way, shape, or form do I sit there and watch every game or try to read up on scores every week. And some people love the sport, and I give them respect for that. If that's what you want to do, you spend your entire Saturday from East Coast time 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., 8 p.m. just watching Fox Soccer Channel all day. Hey, whatever, if that's what you like to do. But you do get a bit of a variety, but the majority of it is EPL centric. So you do miss out on the wider birth of the sport. But at the same time, I don't know. It's just, I can't substitute supporting one team fully and completely and being enveloped in one team for just having an appreciation for different teams in different leagues. I can't get behind that personally. I mean, some people want to do it, hey, whatever, but it's not the same.
Well, it is the sort of convenient thing. I mean, you listen, if you want to take whatever Warren Barton tells you and just sort of project that without doing some investigating about, the background on it, or maybe, do some lateral thinking and try and, find a different way of going about it, or a different logic rather than what's just spewed at you, then then by all means. Coach, you all right? You all right?
Yeah. You dropped off for a second.
Oh, okay.
So
I'm back.
Right. That's what.
And I was disappointed that, I agreed to go on that show. I had no idea how much time they were going to give me. They cut me off mid-sentence. I didn't even get, a plug for our show. Now I'm plugging their show. It's fine. It's at Vuvuzela Blast. Check out their show.
Or not.
I was just kind of bummed out, though. It's like, what? Just kind of manage, what's going on here. Manage the time, or give me a heads up. I'm long-winded. We got an email that came in. This is from Stephen Brandt, he's wrote a couple of pieces for iCeltic, and it's good stuff. He's American Tim. He says, Graham, I want to apologize to you and Celtic supporters about what happened. As a Celtic fan spanning a few years, only 5, I'm always looking to get people talking about the sport and the club.
He's a new Tim.
So he goes on, I'm a show contributor to Vuvuzela on 860 in Philadelphia. When Celtic won last week, I wanted to have the chance to have Graham on again, since he was so amazing the last time. Thank you, Stephen.
Ooh.
Flattery will get you everywhere. Stop it. I've interacted with him a lot on Twitter. At Fake Stephen Brandt is his Twitter feed. Shameless plug. I knew having Celtic on a traditional radio show was thinking out of the box, because not many people outside of footy fans or SPL followers give a damn, and that pisses me off. There's so much positive you can say about Celtic, and it's sad that people like to bring them down. That saying, he goes on to mention the guy's name. Simon Allen is one of my good friends in the media.
Simon.
He has hosted a radio stroke podcast in LA for 8 years, and his show is very, very good. As a side note, another shameless plug, as a side note, I've been on his show a couple times. I wanted to get Graham on to talk about being at the top of the group, actually we're second of the group, and playing a week in Barca's team. Unfortunately, due to time constraints, the whole Sevco thing was brought up, and because of another podcast, Graham got cut off, making it look like Sevco and its fans won again. Well, I don't think so, my friend, because I got 6 minutes of pure Graham rant. And
why do you have a Celtic fan on and want to talk about Sevco?
I don't know. This guy was trying to make he was trying to make the case that without Rangers there is no Celtic, and I was in the process of
don't want to hear it,
putting him in his place, and they cut me off. But I want to apologize publicly, since I set up the interview. I don't like hanging people out like that, and I know Eric Nash doesn't either. He's truly one of the good guys in this world. He'll win an award for his show one of these years. Hail, folks, and keep churning out great radio. So that's from Steven. So thank you, Steven. Thank you for complimenting me.
When did that come in? Just now, or?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So thank you for complimenting me, and anytime you want to send me an email that compliments me, I'll be happy to read it out. Yeah. I mean, listen, I don't want to bash his show. It's not what it's about. I would have, I went on his show in good faith to talk about Celtic. I would have appreciated, maybe just like an opportunity to plug our show, to plug Hail Hail Media. And then I kind of felt like I was going into a buzzsaw. Have this guy coming at me like, without Rangers, there is no Celtic. Well, I'm sorry, my friend, but obviously you haven't paid attention, in the past couple of months, because attendances across the board are up, with every club except for St. Mirren. So that's a positive. Oh, wait. There was the TV deal, right? So we had to renegotiate the television deal. So the league lost £1 million because of that. Oh, wait. Celtic have now brought in over £2 million from the Champions League. So actually that's better too. So why is it that Rangers leaving is going to be such a bad thing? I'm still waiting.
I'm actually seeing more Scottish soccer on DirecTV than I had prior years. You know? This morning I watched it on Fox Soccer Plus.
Yep. Yeah,
Didn't
Fox.
say that a year ago.
Nope.
That's right.
Oops.
Armageddon, Timmy. Don't you forget it. So with that being said, I guess we're going to go out on a ranting note. And
No, I got a good story for you.
well, and special thanks to everyone who wants to have a go at me and Americans in general on Twitter. Please keep it up. I'm thoroughly
Oh, that was something else.
thoroughly enjoying it. And you know what? I'll just come out and I'll address this as well. You're not offending me by doing this. You're making yourself look like a complete and utter idiot. Just no other way to describe it. I take issue with the fact that not so much that you're attacking Americans. I can take that. I've heard that consistently for years. Okay, I know what we are. Okay, and it has absolutely nothing even close to do with anything that people want to say. Americans are effing a-holes. Americans are all stupid. Americans this. Americans that. Fine. I take issue with the fact that a Celtic supporter, a so-called Celtic supporter, is going to call out a group of people based on nationality. And why is it that it's okay to do that with Americans, but it wouldn't be okay if it were, for instance, like the Irish. That's what.
Why don't you go home?
I am home. You go home.
Isn't it the same thing?
It's exactly the same thing. It's exactly the same thing, and that's what gets my hackles up. Not that if you were saying all these things about the French or the Germans, it's a blatant double standard. Why is it that it's okay to do that to Americans, but when you do that to the Irish, you're a Hun? It's the same exact thing. So I'm calling people out for this latent bigotry and just ignorance. So keep it up. Okay, I will continue to retweet you. I will continue to expose you. I really don't care. Rev, what are your thoughts? We know Coach has the stars and stripes airbrushed onto the hood of his Dodge Challenger. What do you think?
I thought he had the stars and bars.
Oh, come on.
Oh, hang on a second, Rev.
No, not to go way too off topic, but I actually had a similar conversation yesterday because at Red Bull Arena it was Polish Heritage Night, and
I'm on the pierogies.
Which whatever. Like I said, like last week and stuff, I've got a little Polish in me, but I really it's all a marketing thing to get asses in seats. That's all it is. The only thing that I thought was weird is this is the second time they've done a Heritage Night. The first one was Croatian Heritage Night, which it's just kind of weird because when you think New York, New Jersey, Croatia doesn't really come in the top 10 at all. It's you think Irish, Italians, Polish, and to the neighborhood that the arena's in, it's a lot of Portuguese,
the Portuguesers,
and Brazilians, yeah. So just that was my only remark. That's weird, but there's a couple other people that are trying to do where's the where is the Irish night and where's the or this other guy had after a few too many was well, where's the white guy night, why does it have to be for everyone else, and trying to do this whole yes it's America and it's a melting pot but it's our melting pot and stuff. I'm you know what, I don't identify myself with that. I don't I'm very much against the whole illegal immigration and everything. How can you tell a human being that they're being illegal? So in this kind of regard, I don't. What?
We're backing away.
No. But this is going back to what what was going on last week and stuff. I identify myself as an American for convenience sake because if you can't tell, then that's how I say yes. I'm from America. Nice to meet you. But I identify myself in the other definition of identifying. I identify myself with working class people and people, who just try to get by their lives and stuff like that. So, this whole thing with culture and race and identity. Like, yes, I get it, and I'm not saying people shouldn't feel or be proud of where they're from or what their family's been through, but in the end, the fuck does it matter? So to go on and attack somebody for, because their golf team lost, it's fucking stupid.
Thank you, Rev.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, it really kicked off around 9/11, and that I'm offended by, some of the comments that are thrown out about America and Americans and around that time. Just keep your mouth shut, okay? If you have nothing nice to say about it and you want to get into this political debate or conspiracy theories or whatever, just keep your mouth shut. Just stop, okay? I mean, it just comes off as ignorant. And when I unfollow you, don't be surprised, okay? And it's not personal. I mean, think about it. If that were you and you were having all sorts of comments like that and it rubbed you the wrong way, would you continue following somebody? Wouldn't you unfollow somebody? Of course you would. Of course. Okay, so don't take it personal, and then don't have some big pussy powwow about how I unfollowed you and whatever. Okay, just don't be surprised.
Especially someone like Graham who's actually hurting that we USA lost me. I don't give two shits about
Listen,
golf.
You know what? I don't care.
I know.
It's fine. There was the whole banter back and forth all weekend about, we're going to win and we're going to win, blah, blah, blah. And then Sunday happens. And yeah, you know what? The Europeans played phenomenally. And I said that throughout. I was never bitter about it. I congratulated the Europeans straight away. They played well. We didn't. And it just turned into, that American player's a fanny. Americans are idiots. Get it right up, you Americans. And, it just got very nasty, very personal. And it's like, I mean, there's a way to win with class too. Oh, okay, that's fine, all right. And then you get past it. There's a week later. I figured, okay, we'll move right along, and it just continues on. I'm getting retweeted stuff about, I watched Jonathan Ross, and I thought Americans were stupid, but God, they're even stupider than I mean, it's just like, it's not offensive. I mean, it's annoying that people are retweeting that to try and wind me up, and then it's like, we're supposed to be Celtic supporters, and you say stuff like that. I mean, get a hold of yourself. Seriously. It's not okay at any point. You can't pick and choose who you're going to be, bigoted against or slag off because of their nationality. You don't get to pick and choose. This isn't, cafeteria bigotry. You're either in or you're out. That it just is completely antithetical to my understanding of the Celtic way. That's all I got to say about it. I'll continue calling you out. So bring it. That's all I'm saying.
If me and Graham and Coach can put away New York and Philly for the good of Celtic, everyone can put away other bullshit.
Wow, that was very Rocky IV of you. No, good point. So we'll move on. We have an international break coming up. That kind of sucks. Are you going to watch any of the U.S. games, Rev?
Who? I don't even know who we're playing.
I don't either. Coach, yeah. I know you're not gonna watch any of the games. Who are the Panthers playing today?
I have no idea. No, they're playing the Seahawks.
Oh, that should be a good one. It's 4:00.
Yeah.
Wow, it should be very exciting. Wake me up when it's over.
Right.
Rev, your New York G-men are going to recover after that tough last minute loss to my mighty Philadelphia Eagles. You got the Browns?
Yeah.
That should be a layup. Sorry, Sean.
Yeah. Well, it's 17-7 right now.
Giants?
No.
Oh, jeez.
Now you're a dick. Hey, I can't. Real quick on the Giants Phillies game, I can't be. I mean, yeah, we should have had that at least tied at the end. But for people, going and getting on Tynes for missing that, the dude, his career record long was 53 yards, and he tried to do 54 yards, and he missed it by a foot. You know, I mean...
Well, our idiot coach felt so bad for him, he called timeout after he missed the first one and gave him a second shot.
Exactly, and
What an
the
idiot.
first one is completely off, gave him the second chance, but I looked, I freeze framed that it bounced right at the end of the end zone where the white starts at the back, and, he came up short going for the farthest he's ever gone in his life, so what, that pass interference that pushed him back to 55 yards should have never happened. That's on, the Giants wide receiver, but, that's a different story, but, what can you say about that? Try to recover this week and take it to the Brownies and disappoint Sean and everybody up in Cleveland.
I'll tell you what, though, that Browns team, they're 0-4, but they shouldn't be. The Eagles barely made it out of there. I think they beat them 17-16. I mean, jeez, it's...
Can I bring this back to Celtic?
Go ahead, please. Please.
Okay. So, as you may have seen, I had dinner with the ambassador over the weekend.
Uh-huh. And so you were in Dillsburg. Were you drinking pints?
Yeah. You know it. Absolutely. So I had some fruity wheat beer.
What is the name of this fruity wheat beer?
Well, it was Harpoon. I felt safe getting a Harpoon because it's pretty good beer. And it wasn't that bad, to tell you the truth.
Yeah. But
I only
have
drank
one.
because Seamus had a beer. So I didn't want him to drink alone. But anyway, he's out here with Liam and Ewan for soccer, kids tournament. So me and Brogan went up to have some chow with him. And we're just talking, of course, about Celtic. And Brogan says, seeing Celtic in Philadelphia was great. So, I said, well, you really have to see him in Glasgow. I said, because it's 100 times better. I said, the only time I've seen him there, it was the loudest stadium I've ever been in, and they were losing. They lost the game. Mm-hmm. And so me and Seamus started talking about, I said the one thing I regretted was that I didn't get to see Larson play because it was when he had his broken leg.
Yeah.
John Barnes.
That's right.
He said, yeah, I was over at a game during that period too. And I said, well, the game I saw was they were winning 2-0, gave up a goal right before halftime, ended up losing 3-2 to Hearts. I said, the one thing I did really like was that I did get to see Moravcik play, and he scored the opening goal.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, I saw a game against Hearts, and Colin Cameron scored. And I said, yeah, me too. And I said, when did you go see the game? He said, oh, I don't know. I said, like 2000? He said, yeah, it was in February.
You were at the same game.
Said, we were at the same freaking game. Right? Now it gets better. I said, where'd you sit? And he said, oh, we were in right behind the net. I was about 2 rows off the pitch. I said, which end? When he told me, and I said, that's where I sat. He's like, get the hell out of here. I said, yeah. I said, I went over with the Steve Murray CSC out of Coleraine on their bus. He was like, oh, that's I don't remember if he said cousin or Aunt Mary's, that's her bus. He said, yeah, you probably went to the game with her. I said, this is killing me. I mean, I can't believe we were both. He said, yeah, I flew over with the Molly Maguire's Philadelphia CSC, got on the plane on Friday night or whatever, got there Saturday morning, went straight to the game, hung out Saturday, and flew home Sunday. So, that was just amazing that we were at the same game.
That's bizarre.
Sitting probably rows apart, because I thought I was about 5 or 6 rows, but I looked at the pictures today, and it looks like I'm maybe 2-3 rows off the field, and never knew each other was there.
He was probably, though, in fairness, I think he was probably looking at you and saying, "Geez, is that Jim McGuigan, the guy that was picking in Thatcher when she went to York?"
But it was really kind of friggin' surreal that out of nowhere, 12 years later, we're talking about this. I come to find out we're at the same game, and out of all the games you could be at, the only game I was at, and probably sitting rows apart from each other and don't even know it.
It's a small world.
Yeah. It freaked me out.
That is freaky.
Well, that's a pretty good story.
That is freaky. Well, and here you are, on a radio show with a nutball and a skinhead.
Yeah.
Never thought that would happen. That's good stuff. Well, hopefully, Seamus and the boys got good result with their soccer this weekend.
I haven't heard. Liam had left his boots at home.
Oh Jesus! So what? Did they have to run out and get some real quick, like some?
Yeah, they ran out to the mall and got it.
Oh jeez!
Boots and I think some shin pads too.
Oh, he left them too.
Yeah.
Oh God!
He said, "Mom packed them for me."
Yeah, it's Mom's fault, right?
Yeah.
Ugh.
We're trying to tell him it's his responsibility to make sure he's got all his stuff so he can play.
That's right.
It was funny.
That's right. Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, shout out to Seamus and the boys, and hopefully they're doing well. Hey, Derek is getting in touch in the chat room with, I think, the quote of the day. Orange strips, Apple sponsorship, melon for a manager, and all the lemons out in the park. Sevco is like an effing fruit shop.
Full of Fruit Loops.
Fantastic, Dara. Fantastic. All right, well, we're going to take a break. International break and all that kind of stuff. We'll be back next week. We're going to catch up with Paul Larkin, and as I mentioned before, we will have details on an auction to obtain a signed copy of the Paul Larkin anthology, if you will. And really appreciate Paul getting in touch and supporting the effort, raising funds going towards We Oscar over here now. Here being Philadelphia Children's Hospital, Philadelphia. So all the best to We Oscar and his family, and whatever we can do going forward to help them and support them. We want to obviously continue doing so. Thank you so much to everyone who's helped on that effort. Thank you so much to everyone who has listened. Coach, thank you.
Okay, can I get one last thing in?
Please.
You may have seen it on Twitter. The CSC in Norway.
Yes. Yeah.
Doing a charity raffle for a signed Hoops jersey signed by the team.
Fantastic.
And, it's a charity thing for them, and if you're interested in getting in on it, buying yourself a few tickets, I think they're £5 a piece, and just go to cscn.no.
Fantastic. Can you tweet a link to that as well?
Sure can.
Fantastic. And your Twitter is @GettysburgBoy?
Yep.
Fantastic. Coach, thank you, sir. Happy Thanksgiving to Deco. He's firing it up in the chat room, rapid fire style. He's probably he says I'm half tanked. Happy Thanksgiving to me. Gobble gobble, Deco. Rev, thank you, sir. Anything to plug or shout out?
Oh no, I'm going on international break after next week, so I probably won't be here for that show.
Where are you going?
I'm going to the lovely and warm Bahama Islands.
Oh, lovely. Are you going to Atlantis or Paradise Island or any of that?
We're making a trip. It's a cruise, just a weekend cruise.
It's a cruise.
Amy's friends are doing their 5-year anniversary, so they tried to invite their wedding party to on the cruise. So we're flying down to Tampa on Thursday, Friday, whatever, one of those days, the 18th, whatever day that is. Hopping on the boat, heading over to, making one stop on one island, I guess Nassau, and then stopping at Atlantis, and then hightailing it home, be home Sunday. So
fantastic.
Or actually, be back in the States Sunday, not coming home till Monday. But yeah, that
sounds lovely. Well, please enjoy your time, and we'll be thinking about you, and we will slag you,
of course.
But have a wonderful time. Please give your best to the better half.
I'll try.
The lovely and talented Amy Dose, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, fantastic. Thank you guys, and thank you to everyone who joined us today. 3 points, top of the table, all is well. So, taking us out, as always, it's the Pogues, and we'll talk to you soon. Hail, hail, and keep the faith.
The island, it is silent now, but the ghosts still haunt the waves. And a torch lights up a famished man who fortune could not save. Did you work upon the railroads? Did you ride the streets of crime? Were your dollars from the White House? Were they from the 5 and dime? Did the old songs start to cheer you? And did they still make you cry? Did you count the months and years? Or did your teardrops quickly dry? I know that it was not to be on a coffin ship. I came here and I never even got so far that they could change my name. Thousands are sailing across the western ocean to a land of opportunity that some of them will never see. Fortune prevailing across the western ocean, their bellies full, their spirits free. They'll break the chains of poverty and they'll dance. In Manhattan's desert twilight, in the dead of afternoon, we stepped hand in hand on Broadway, like the first man on the moon. And a blackbird broke the silence as you whistled, it's so sweet. And in Brendan Behan's footsteps, I danced up and down the street. And we said goodnight to Broadway, giving it our best regards. Took our hats to Mr. Cohen, dear old Times Square's favorite bird. Then we raised a glass to JFK and a dozen more besides. When I got back to